Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. I'm so glad you're here. If you enjoy thoughtful, well-researched spotlights on your favorite stars, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the join button to support more deep dive content. Today, we're focusing on a name that blends talent, discipline, and quiet charisma, Ebru Şahin. Settle in, because we're going beyond the headlines to explore her craft, her life between continents, and the choices that keep her grounded while the world keeps watching. Let's start with the woman behind the roles. Long before the bright lights and red carpets, Ebru was a student of storytelling. Friends from her earliest training days often describe someone who approached acting like an athlete approaches competition: warm UPS, repetition, breath control, and a fierce respect for the team around her. That instinct to treat the set as a collaborative arena has followed her throughout her career. Directors praise her listening skills, co-stars talk about her generosity in a scene, stylists appreciate that she understands how wardrobe supports character rather than overshadows it. Her breakout years, of course, introduced her to a massive audience. From intense melodrama to nuanced romance, Ebru proved she could hold a frame effortlessly. She built a reputation for roles that require strong emotional arcs, characters who begin guarded and gradually reveal their inner worlds. That particular skill, slow, credible transformation, is harder to master than it looks. It requires patience, script literacy, and the rare ability to stay present take after take. If you've ever wondered why certain scenes feel cinematic even on a small screen, a performer like Ebru is usually part of the answer. As her profile expanded, so did her world. In recent years, she has divided time between Turkey and the United States, spending meaningful stretches in New York. The move wasn't a headline grab. It was a strategic step. New York is a city where performers can disappear into classes, workshops, and rehearsals, and Ebru used that anonymity to study. She worked with dialect coaches to broaden her range, experimented with movement training that combines dance and stage combat, and joined script labs where actors sit with writers and dissect scenes line by line. The goal, she has suggested in multiple conversations, is simple: stay a student, no matter how many award shows invite you. Balancing two careers, one in a global entertainment hub, the other at home, takes discipline and a supportive circle. Here, it helps that Ebru has cultivated a life that values privacy without dulling joy. She and her husband, professional basketball player Sadie Osman, share a rhythm that looks almost athletic: recovery, routine, and respect. On days when he is on the court, she's often in a rehearsal room. When she's promoting a project, his schedule shifts to be present. They guard that balance fiercely, and that mutual understanding shows. You see it in small moments: quiet dinners after games, casual walks with phones tucked away, celebrations that feel intimate rather than staged. It's not about perfection, it's about alignment. A typical week in New York might surprise you. Early mornings often start with physical training, nothing flashy, just focused conditioning to maintain stamina for long shoots. Midday can be about script work and voice sessions. In the late afternoon, you might find her in a black box theater, running new scenes with a small group of actors and a director who gives blunt, helpful notes. Evenings rotate between home-cooked meals, silent reading hours, and occasional appearances at film screenings where she supports friends' projects. The life looks ordinary by design. That ordinariness is where craft grows. Professionally, Ebru has reached the phase where she can think in seasons rather than in weeks. One season could be a streaming drama with layered suspense, another a film that leans into character study rather than spectacle. She chooses work that challenges her toolkit: accents, historical settings, minimalist dialogue, or emotionally complex partnerships with co-leads. Producers say she reads a script with questions in the margin: what does this character want in each scene? Where is the secret? Which gesture can replace a line? Actors who do that tend to leave audiences with moments they remember long after the credits roll. With visibility comes noise, and Ebru manages it by keeping boundaries clear. She rarely fuels speculation, and when rumors surface, she lets silence do the heavy lifting. The formula is simple: keep your circle small, keep your schedule purposeful, and let your work speak louder than your press. That approach has a calming effect on the narrative around her. Headlines may swirl, but the through line stays steady, a professional who shows up prepared, delivers, and moves forward. Beyond sets and stages, there's a values-driven side of her calendar that rarely gets exaggerated online. She lends time and visibility to causes that align with her story: access to arts education for young people, support for women entering creative fields behind the camera, and community initiatives that combine sport and well-being. None of it feels performative. The visits are quiet, the photos minimal, and the outcomes practical: workshops, scholarships, and mentorships that happen whether or not a camera is present. Let's talk fashion and image, because they are part of the storytelling, too. Ebru's public style tends to honor clean lines and smart tailoring over spectacle. You'll notice neutral palettes with sharp structure for formal events, and soft, breathable textures for day-to-day city life. When she collaborates with designers, she often chooses pieces that can be reworn and restyled. That's not only sustainable. It's a message about avoiding the trap of constant reinvention for its own sake. Her approach says, let the silhouette whisper. Let the performance roar. What about the projects everyone whispers about, the cross-border productions, the bilingual scripts, the indie films that shoot fast and rely on chemistry? Those are very much in the conversation. The dream scenario many fans talk about is a limited series that pairs her with an international ensemble and a director who favors intimate scenes over set-piece explosions. Think close UPS, subtext, and the kind of tension you feel rather than see. Whether or not that specific dream lands this year, the trajectory is there, a portfolio that travels because the performances travel. If you're new to her work, here's a quick viewer's guide. Start with a character who seems impenetrable in episode 1 and watch how she softens the mask by episode 4, not with speeches, but with micro-shifts. A slower blink, a fractionally longer pause before answering, a hand that finally reaches for another's shoulder. Then pick a role where she is defiant from the first scene and notice how she protects that core even while the story forces compromise. The through line is intentionality. She doesn't play famous. She plays human. Of course, that humanity invites curiosity. People want to know how she resets after a long day, what she reads, where she finds quiet. The answers aren't dramatic: warm tea, notes in a worn notebook, essays about craft, and long calls with family. If the schedule allows, there's travel that doesn't look like a press tour, just a borrowed bike, a low-key cafe, and a city viewed not as a backdrop, but as a place to be a person who happens to act. When it comes to relationships with colleagues, Ebru is known for keeping doors open. She celebrates co-stars' wins publicly and privately, sends flowers when a friend opens in theater, and elevates creators who don't always get the spotlight: editors, assistant directors, and script supervisors who shape stories in ways the audience never sees. That habit of naming the invisible work earns trust. It also tends to attract the kind of teams who keep coming back to collaborate again. What's next? Expect choices that reward patience. Rather than stacking projects for volume, she seems intent on spacing them for longevity. A period role that demands research. A contemporary part that interrogates social media fame. Perhaps even a stage run in a small venue where the applause is close enough to feel. Whatever arrives, the constant will be preparation. She is not the type to show up and wing it. She drills. She refines. And then she allows spontaneity once the foundation is strong. For fans, this is an exciting chapter. We're watching a performer who has already proved her star power deliberately build depth. It's the difference between a moment and a career. Moments trend. Careers endure. Ebru is building the latter, one considered decision at a time. Before we wrap, a quick note about how we cover stories here. You'll notice we focus on verifiable information and on craft, what an artist does, not what strangers speculate. That doesn't mean avoiding interesting questions, it means treating people as professionals who make real choices under real pressure. If you value that approach, you're in the right place. To Ebru's supporters, keep celebrating the work that drew you to her in the first place. Rewatch the scenes that moved you. Recommend the projects that a friend might have missed. Share the interviews where she talks about process, not just premieres. This is how we elevate conversations about artists, by highlighting the art. And to Ebru, if this somehow finds its way to you, keep studying, keep resting, keep choosing roles that scare you just enough to grow. The audience is here. We notice the details. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If this spotlight gave you a fuller picture of who Ebru Şahin is as an artist and as a person navigating two worlds, please like the video, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, and click the join button if you'd like to support more profiles like this. Tell me in the comments, which performance do you think showcases her range best? What kind of role should she do next, a period heroine, a contemporary anti-hero, or a stage role that strips everything back? I can't wait to read your thoughts. Until next time, take care and goodbye.